The Face in the Darkness is My Own by My Lost and Found. Read by My Lost and Found. Summary. When Jim let himself sink back into the darkness, he never expected to find something already hidden away there. Something that had been with him his whole life he never knew about. Something that wasn't able to get out until he opened the door. Something that might just save him. Or, Changeling Jim is finally able to unlock his troll side after taking Merlin's potion in Season 3. This fic is about 1,600 words and 1 chapter. It is rated general audiences and no archive warnings apply. As always, link to the fic is in the description, and on with the story. It's dark, and it's big. He doesn't need to see it to know. The presence so infinitely empty, he could sink so deep, he forgets which way used to be up. The darkness flows gently around him, taking every part of him into its ephemeral grasp. It traces his skin, plays with his hair, ghosts along his jaw. It studies him, like someone looking at a precious thing they must part from, never to be seen again, appreciating every little detail with the knowledge that all that will be left is a memory. And, in a way, he supposes it's right. He doesn't fight as it takes him deeper. In a world so empty, any hint of something stands out. He's not sure how he knows. Something in the void's flow, some deep instinct that knows when it's being observed, some unplaceable feeling. But there is no question that something is here. Something unlike the darkness, yet knowing nothing but. He lets the sinking pull draw his head back, turning from where he came to face the yawning deep. The effort it takes to draw his eyes open, even just a flutter, takes so much from him here. He's so tired. It's difficult, at first, to make out what's in front of him. The slowly closing light from where he came barely reaches the figure, but it's enough to make out a face. It's not his face, but at the same time, it is. Color is hard to pick out against the dark, but their dull skin blends better into the backdrop than his own pale complexion. Their hair floats around their head in thick clumps, looking in desperate need of care. Horns sprout from their head, cracking and flaking in their texture. The eyes, though? It's the eyes that make him sure that what he's staring at is himself. Yes, they are that familiar shade of blue that's always looked back at him in the mirror. But more than that, they're filled with the same exhausted, yet ironclad conviction he gets when he sees someone he loves suffering. Strong hands reach up, taking his head and tilting it back towards the light. Flicking his eyes up, Jim can just about make out the pleading face of himself, his other self, his new self? No, that last one felt wrong. This part of himself wasn't new. It couldn't be. Their eyes were too tired, their body neglected. He felt bad for neglecting this part of himself, even if he didn't know about it until now. He couldn't let them stay here in the dark. He looked back at the light. The edges had crept closer, but the gap was still large enough for someone to slip through. Jim couldn't go back. not as he was. A human couldn't defeat Gunmar. A human couldn't protect the people he cared about. But there was someone who could. Someone who had been here all along, trapped with no way out. He could offer them a way now. Rousing his body from the limp doze it had fallen into, Jim's hands come up to meet his other self's cool, stone ones. He lifts them, gently, freeing himself to right his body. From this new position, it's easy for Jim to nudge his other self up, towards the beckoning light. Their reaction is immediate. They shake their head, pulling Jim up in a way that causes them to sink down. They look sad. Jim can't understand why. Their opportunity to leave is right there. They don't have to stay here anymore. Still, they let themselves sink further. Jim tugs them back up, waving them towards the dwindling light, only to be forced above them himself. Back and forth they go, trying to lift the other up and let themselves sink, only for the other to do the same right back. They are running out of time. The light is fading fast around them, and before long, it will be too late for either of them to escape. But Jim can't just leave them here. They won't leave him. He can't leave them behind. He's an idiot. He's trying to convince himself to leave someone they care about behind. He can't. But then, a spark of hope fills his chest, chasing away some of the gentle numbness this place had wrapped him in. He can't convince them to leave him behind, but he can convince them to come with him. Jim doesn't know how that would work, but he doesn't have time to think about the implications. He tightens his grip on their hands. They shift, ready to try and stop him from switching positions once again. But Jim doesn't push them up. Instead, Jim starts kicking. He's not sure what this void is made of, but he starts to move up. Cool hands try to slip out of his, but he doesn't let them. Looking down at them, he gives a little tug before gesturing with his head. Confusion plasters itself across not quite familiar features, so he does it again, this time squeezing their hands. He's not letting go. Either they both go, or he doesn't at all. They seem to understand, eyes switching between him and the light. It's clear they want to protest, to insist that Jim leaves them behind. But they know as well as he did that that isn't going to happen. Their resolve hardens, new goal in mind. The light is so small now, but they don't stop. If they can just reach it, Jim knows they can get out. He kicks his legs harder, not daring to let go of the hands in his until they're right before the light. It's so small now, barely a window out into the world he knew. They look at one another, the blue skin of his other half now standing out against the inky black. Without needing words, they both reach up one hand towards the light. Jim's not sure what he expects when he reaches through the light, but he feels like he should have expected the sudden jerk of his body as he sits up to cough the water from his nose. Sensation washes over him. The stillness of the void is gone, replaced with a cacophony. His armor feels heavy on his body, weighing him down. His nose and throat burn as he continues to cough. And something he didn't even realize was missing, settling contently in his heart. The feeling of another skin tingling under his own buzzes, excited at the prospect of finally touching the world, but happy to wait wait until it's called. He doesn't startle when a crash rings out, the door to the bathroom finally giving way. People rush in, and it takes a moment for his eyes to focus on the people crowding around him. His mother calls his name, her arms coming up to wrap around him as best she can. He should answer her. He should apologize for worrying her. He just can't. He can't bring himself away from the warmth settling into his body. Not the warmth of a fire or a summer's day, but the warmth of a smile from someone who loves you. It twines through his body and soul, settling in as it did in his heart, sinking in until he can't tell the difference between it and himself, because it is him. Arms come underneath him, lifting him from the bath and settling him without protest on the floor. Words finally start to filter in through the voices. He can feel the rumble of sound from the one holding him.
Please, young Atlas, are you okay? What do you feel?
I feel... His words are stilted as his brain adjusts to being a person again. Whole. Jimbo, can you be a little less cryptic about the creepy magic potion that's no longer in the jar? You didn't drink it, did you?
What is going on here?
Merlin's voice is harsh. When he reaches the door, he lets out a baffled gasp.
You fool! That was your one chance to reach your potential, and you've squandered it. You've doomed us all.
Claire steps between Jim and the doorway.
Don't talk to him like that! You're horrible, you know that? And you are a foolish little girl who knows nothing of that which she speaks. That potion was the only way for the Trollhunter to defeat Gunmar, and he threw it away.
I didn't, Jim says softly. It takes a second, but he's able to get his feet under him and pull away from Strickler and his mom. She reaches for his arm, but he shoots her a reassuring smile, and he steps forward to meet Merlin.
Didn't ruin it? How can you make such wild claims when you stand before me, no different than before?
I am different. I'm still me. I'm just all of me. Your potion didn't work the way you meant it to, maybe. But it worked. Jim's not sure if Merlin starts to berate him again. He's already slipping away from his senses and into that new feeling under his skin. It's a little stiff, like how his body feels after indulging in sleep more than a little bit too long when school lets out for the summer. What it really needs is a good stretch. He tugs on the feeling inside him, letting it roll out in a flash of blue light. It doesn't take a mirror to know what he looks like. He stares down at Merlin with a determined steel in his eyes, even as the man sputters on about the impossibility of what he's just seen. Similar sounds of shock come from the others, though Toby stands out with an excited murmur of, "Awesome sauce!" We did it. I'm ready. We are ready. Jim gestures a hand out to the others standing by him. And now, it's time to take Gunmar down. And that is all for this fic. Little bit of surprise, I'd say, for probably everyone here. I'm not sure who was expecting a Tales of Arcadia podfic out of me in 2026. But I love the whole series, and I don't know what came over me, but yeah, recently I got back into reading some fics for the fandom, and especially these two really good, really long, unfinished, so I'm left unsatisfied and waiting for more, post movie continuations that fix things and make me happy, and they don't make the movie worth it, but it's close. They're really good. Anyway, so I started reading, more fics, and as I was reading, I got into like Changeling Jim fics, and my brain decided to have a thunk, and this is like in the end notes for the fic as well. But so I was thinking, so I was also rewatching Trollhunters as I was reading some of these fics. I'm currently on season 2 of 3 Below in my third rewatch of the entire series. Anyway, I was having a thunk sometime after Jim went into the potion bath, and I was reading a bunch of Changeling Jim fics, and so human Jim goes into the blackness and he just like stays there. It eats him. You got like a little Jim in storage. So I was thinking, if you got human Jim floating around in the darkness storage, maybe something else could have been in there before you put human Jim in there, because like you get the Jim out later, so obviously you can take things out. And in some like Changeling Jim fics, so like the reason he hasn't been able to access like his troll form is because of like a lack of magical energy kind of stuff, because half-changeling. His dad was a changeling, his mom was a human. He's a weird little freak thing. I love him. But so I was thinking, if it needs energy in some of these universes, we're thinking, what if he's already got a troll form, instead of like the magic energy being used to create Jim's new troll form, it gives him the charge he needs to be able to freely swap between forms. And just the image of like him sinking into the void of the potion is kind of like really evocative imagery with like everything going on in the scene. So I just like had the image in my mind of him coming in, and then there's just that little guy in the darkness looking at him like, what the fuck is going on? No, you get back out, because Jim cares about, the people he cares about, and this is also Jim, and he's like, I don't like it down here, so you better not be down here, because you'll be sad, so get out. But then you got two Jims trying to self-sacrifice to each other, and that doesn't really work, and both of them know it's not going to work. So the ultimate solution, both of them get to leave the scary darkness, and you get Changeling Jim, which is fun. Yes. Anyways, that was some rambles about the fic itself, because yes, as said in the intro, I wrote this and I'm podficking it. This is like the first thing I've written in 4 months, maybe. So it is rusty. This is not the best thing I've ever written by far, but it was a short idea that sprung up into my mind, and I had enough motivation to get it down on the page, so I figured I should really do that, because I'm like hoping this will give me an extra push to get back on the writing train. Because I know a lot of people are like, we're sifting through the cosmos, is there going to be more? Yes, there is. I have not abandoned it. I promise. I said I would die first, and I will finish it. It's just I stopped writing because I was really busy, and then when I was looking at what I needed to write next, it's the end. It's right there, and I want to do a good job. Literally, me writing each chapter 3 hours before midnight and just chucking it out into the void as soon as I get it done was how I was writing recently. And that works, honestly. It works for me fine, because if I forget something, I'll just bring it up later. I'll tie it back in. But this is the end. I can't do that. So I guess I got really intimidated by actually making sure it's good after I stopped writing, and that just made me not write even more, so then I just got out of it. But hopefully this will give me a little extra push, but maybe a little bit later, because finals are coming up. But, maybe after that. Yes, good. Maybe. No jinxing things, but maybe. Anyway, this was fun to write. Also fun to podfic. Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed. A little out of left field for me and my normal stuff that I cover, but yeah. Hope anyone listening enjoyed this podfic, enjoyed the fic. If you did feel free to leave a kudos, comment, whatever you want is fine. And I will see you next time.